Personally, it's a nay. I feel very uncomfortable leaving Oliver to just cry. And even leaving him to cry for 5 seconds, like, just breaks my little heart, because I can't think of anything worse than hearing my own baby cry. It's horrible, and I just know that I don't feel comfortable putting him in the cot and sort of just having him scream and scream and scream and scream and scream, waiting for me to come in, depending on me to come in. I just don't feel comfortable with him crying for that long. Anyway, enough about that for now. This is sort of how his sleep has been. So when he was a newborn baby, I was breastfeeding until 5 months, as most of you would know, and I was up every hour, hour and a half with him. Sometimes he would have a stretch of 4 hours, and I would think that was incredible. I thought, oh my god, 4 hours, that's amazing. And he kind of stayed like that the whole time I was breastfeeding. It was sometimes every hour and a half, sometimes he would sleep 4 hours, but he would usually wake up at least 3 times a night for the first 5 months. And that was really difficult. We did have a couple of nights where he randomly would sleep through the night, but this was also when he was going to bed super, super late. He was going to bed at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night, because that's when we went to bed, and I was not in the best place. I didn't know like if it was normal or not. Like, do you put the baby to bed so early? Are they gonna wake up earlier? I just didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't have any structure. He had no routine. Reese usually would have stayed up till like 1 or 2 in the morning happily just watching TV shows, and I wasn't about that. I was drained. I had no energy to do that because I was the one breastfeeding. I was the one getting up with him every night. While I was breastfeeding, it was mainly just me getting up with him every night. So Reese staying up that late didn't really have any effect on him. He didn't think there was a big issue with trying to get Ollie to sleep so early. Sometimes we'd have friends over on the weekends and he'd say, it's fine, like, you know, he can stay up a little bit later, and I'm like, he needs a routine because I'm going crazy. So basically, after I stopped breastfeeding and after Reese and I broke up is when I started to put him into a routine. And I'm not saying that Reese did anything wrong either, because we both had no idea what we were doing, and he didn't understand how sleep deprived I was and how breastfeeding can drain your body, literally drain your body. So yeah, when I started formula feeding, he would go to bed around 9:30 was where we were sort of at this point, and I even thought that was good. I would aim for like 9 o'clock. Sometimes he'd get to bed by 9:30, but 9 o'clock was his bedtime, and this was when he was around 6 months or 5 months old, not 6 months, around 5 months old. And I was reading and doing research and finding ways to sort of get him to bed a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier. When he was going to bed really late, he would sleep in till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'd sleep in till then because I was wrecked. And then half my day is gone and I just felt like crap, and then I'd stay up till 12 o'clock the next night, and no routine at all. I was starting to wake up around sort of 8 o'clock in the morning, and that was all right because at 9 o'clock at night, I was like, oh, I've got some extra time to lay in bed, and just because I used to, as soon as he would go to bed at 12 o'clock, and this is like when Reese would already be asleep in bed and I would be trying to get him to sleep, walking up and down the hallway, rocking him, singing to him, putting him in the cot, picking him back up, and nothing would sort of settle him. He always had a dummy. He always goes to bed with a dummy. It just is a lifesaver. So that is, yeah, something that I never thought I would say. I was kind of, you know, not sure about the whole dummy thing, but dummies, lifesaver. Since Reese had moved out, my mum kind of said to me, that's really not normal that he goes to bed so late. Like, you need to have time to relax a little bit. And I thought that would be amazing, but he's not going to go to bed earlier than that. Like, I just couldn't do it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start doing a routine. I explained to Reese the routine so that when he's at Reese's house, this is what we did. He basically woke up around, say, like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I would give him a bottle and give him breakfast. Then at around 9:30, 10 o'clock, he would go down for a nap until about 10:30, 11:30, depending on when he sort of went down. He'd have an afternoon nap around 2 or 3, wake up around sort of 4ish, 3:30, depending on, again, what time he went down. And then I aim to have dinner ready for him around 5:30, 6, so that he has dinner on the nights that I bath him, which is like about every second night now. I give him a bath, like, because obviously after dinner is the best time for a bath. I said that in my nighttime routine. Give him a bath, change him, and then he knows sort of that it's getting ready for bed. I turn these main lights off and just have my rain shield light on or my fish tank light on. So it's quite dark down here except for the TV. And when those lights go off, I think that's kind of a sign for him to go, oh, okay, it's getting a little bit dark now, it's kind of sleepy time. Then I try to wear him out a little bit, put him on the floor, he crawls around, or before he could crawl, we'd just play with him, watch TV, and sort of wear him out. Then I aim for 7 o'clock or 7:30. So 7 o'clock, I aim to give him his last bottle. Lately, because it's summer, the sun's been going down a lot later, it's a lot harder because he sees that it's light outside and he's kind of confused. But I still give him his bottle around 7:10, 7:15, and I just hold him in my arms on the couch, really quiet, TV's really low, mum's not talking too loud. By the time he gets to about this much left in his bottle, he's usually passed out, and I just take him upstairs, put him in the cot, and he's out. And he will usually sleep until about 4:45 to 5:30. And that is amazing because he was waking up so frequently all the time, although sometimes he does wake up at around 11 or 9 o'clock just because he's stirred. And I will try to just sort of lay there, and I'll leave it about 20 seconds or 30 seconds sometimes, and he'll be sort of like, or he goes, nan, 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 nan. And I think, oh my God, Mum, please get up to him. But no, he basically, I just go into his room and I stick the dummy. The dummy's usually fallen out of the cot, or he's hit his head on the side of the cot bars, or something like that's gone down. So I just stick the dummy in, just give him a little pat and say, you're okay, and then go back to bed. And then he's usually out, yeah, until around like 4 in the morning. What's been happening lately is he has gone through a growth spurt, and I'm quite sure it's a growth spurt. I've done some research on it, and babies do go through a growth spurt at 9 months. He is 9 months old, which makes sense. This last week, he has been a pain in the ass. He has been not wanting to go to bed, he's been squirmish, he's been squealing and screaming, like happy and bad. Like he'll just crawl around the house just squealing, and it's been doing my head in. He has been having really short naps, and he's just been all over the place. So I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And I had a bit of a breakdown the other night because I was like, I can't do this, it's too hard. And then that's when I researched the growth spurts, and that made me feel a lot better. He was waking up this week. He woke up one night at 3, 4, 5. I put him in bed with me at 5 o'clock because I was just that exhausted. Like I said in my co-sleeping video, when it's that early in the morning and I really just can't get him to sleep, I will put him in bed with me, have pillows on one side so he doesn't roll out, obviously. And he slept until 7 a.m. and he usually wakes up about 6:30 a.m. to start the day. So that was amazing, but it was terrible that I was up at 3, 4, and 5, and I was so tired the night before my biopsy. So yeah, I was a bit like, oh my God, and it was hard to get to sleep because I was nervous, and yeah, it was terrible. So yesterday, if you watch my vlog, I said he had a 3-hour nap, and that was amazing. So he slept from like 9 till like 11:30, 12, and I was like, well, what's happening? And then last night he slept from 8 o'clock, because he's been going to bed a little bit later, like I said, because of the sun going down a bit later. He's like from 8 o'clock till 5:30, and I was like, wow, I think the growth spurt's over. So I was really happy about that. With the cry it out method, I don't feel the need to cry it out with him. I feel like getting him to sleep from 8 p.m. till 5:30 in the morning is a full night's sleep, in my opinion. He wakes up and has a bottle at 5:30, and I wake up at 7 with him or 6:30 with him, and I feel like I've had a good night's sleep. I don't feel it's necessary to do the cry it out method with him. Obviously, if you had a baby that was waking up every couple of hours still at this age, I would be like, okay, I've got to do something about it, and I would probably consider the cry it out method. It's not like a complete nay as such, but it's just not something that fits into Oliver's sleep routine. We're comfortable without it, and if we did start it a bit earlier when he was breastfeeding, maybe that could have helped, but I honestly just couldn't bring myself to put him in the cot and just leave him cry. And I did have nights where I tried and Reese and I would just give up because our little hearts were just in a million pieces because we just couldn't. It's just really sad to see your own baby crying for you, and especially now that he can hold onto the cot bars and pull himself up, and he sort of, you know, that he just wants to be picked up. And how could I ever leave that little thing just there? Can't do it. That's kind of where I am at with Oliver's sleep training. It's not really sleep training as such, but yeah, every night he does usually fall asleep in my arms. And most people would say, oh my god, that's so bad that you rock him to sleep every night. I don't rock him to sleep every night. He falls asleep with a bottle on his own. And it is in my arms, but most of the time if he wakes up a little bit, he will just go back to sleep. So I don't think I've done anything wrong. I think what I've done, or what Reese and I have done, works for us really well. And I'm really happy with where he's at the moment. I definitely could see a massive improvement when we switched to formula. It wasn't instant, but in that month, he started to sleep a lot more. He must have been getting a lot more full for longer because breast milk is so easy to metabolize compared to formula. Anyway guys, that's all for my yay or nay of sleep training slash the cry it out method. I don't know what I'm gonna call this video yet. I'll figure it out. Please give it a like if you like this video, and I will catch you guys for Vlogmas day 16 tomorrow. Bye.